Welcome, everybody, to the first Mix Critique Mondays. This is September the 19th. I can't believe it's the middle of September already, but September the 19th, 2016. And just really excited to be doing this. Was getting a lot of emails, from all of you asking for mix critiques. It's hard to find the time to really, I don't like to skimp on those sorts of things. So I wanted to set aside some valuable time to give back to you all, and I thought this would be a fun way to do it. So I have a bunch of tracks pulled open here in Studio One. This is the mastering suite, but it's just cool because we get to kind of line them up right after each other and label them. So if any of you would like a mix critique or would like to be a part of this, all you have to do is submit a mix that you've done. Just shoot me an email, pete@mixbetternow.com. And we'll be doing these hopefully every Monday. If not every Monday, every other Monday. We're going to see how it goes. So, like I said, I have 7 tracks here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play each one, and I'm going to listen. And then I will, maybe pause or kind of pull the dim switch down a little bit and just kind of think out loud as I go. Basically, I haven't really listened to these before, and I do that on purpose because I want them to be... I don't want to kind of have the things planned. I just want to have a very natural reaction to the music. So we have 7 songs. We have Retrospective from my man Loz over in the UK. We have Gone from my buddy Brandon Smith. We have Delayed from Kilynn Weber. Less Alone from Erik Radbo. Wayfaring Stranger from my man Adam Corrali. I'm sorry if I'm saying your names wrong too. You have to correct me and let me know. We have Lowdown from Eddie, Texas, aka Mark Ferguson. Sorry, Mark, Eddie. And then we have Follow Me from Michael Derrick. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Basically, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm shooting for around an hour, but I want to get all of these in. I had some more that I couldn't get to this week, so we'll get to those next week or the week after. Anyway, this is the first one up, Retrospective from Loz Rabone. All right, let's check it out. Really love the style of music. Reminds me of that 70s West Coast thing.
I think I'm going back in time. There's nothing here that's not been fine. All my magic, numbers wasted. Holding out for love is tainted.
I feel like the vocals could come up a little bit, but the overall balance is really cool. It's kind of got that thicker vocal sound. Great guitar tone.
Hold on to innocence and time. My ever-after innocent smile. Fortune's faded, disappeared. Maybe just the way it's painted.
One thing that I'm hearing in the bass a little bit is the bass sounds a little bit what I call tubby. So I might try and look to cut something around 150, 200, 250, 300. It's almost that boxy, nasally thing that you might get in a vocal, or that you might get in an instrument with a higher frequency range. But it sounds great. But I would maybe try and find and notch a little bit of that out. It'll actually wind up making the bass sound bigger overall. But everything's sounding great so far. Really enjoying this.
Trying to find a retrospective, maybe only peace of mind. When you're on the outside looking in, never find a place to start again.
Great guitar tone. What I might do there is do like an automation rod where you really kind of push up the guitar solo a few dB when it comes in to give a little bit more impact there. And then of course back it down a little bit when you get to the verse. All right, right on. Yeah, Loz, I thought that was great. I really liked the song. I really thought that your levels were really good there. I thought you did a good job at balancing the overall mix. I mean, we all think about, corrective EQ or additive EQ, compressing, things like this in terms of mixing, but at the very essence of mixing, balancing your session is hugely important. Static mix, panning decisions, things like that. I really enjoyed a lot of those decisions that you made. I think you're on a clearly, I believe that's one of your tracks, and I thought you did a great job. If you recorded that, sounds great. Like I said, the only things, things that I would have done differently there, I might have kind of cut out a few of those tubby bass frequencies that I was hearing. And that could just purely be the bass too. Of course, some basses have different tonal parameters to them, but I would do that. The other thing is maybe ride a little bit more automation to kind of keep the listener a little bit more engaged through the track, because it's a very, mellow West Coast kind of. I think when I emailed you, I was saying, your music overall reminds me of the Eagles and, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, stuff like that. But yeah, really good mix, really solid. I would say, overall, really, really good job. So yeah, bass, little automation there. Even on the vocals too. I think with the stacks, I think you could kind of ride those a little bit throughout the course of the song, bring them up in certain points, and then pull them back for some verses. But really well done. All right, next up, we have track 2. This is Gone from Brandon Smith. I believe Brandon wanted me to make a note that this is a song by Chase K. So let's go ahead and let me just find the start of this. All right, here we go.
Put some good shoes on and throw away your watch. All that time you lost trying to wind it back. Summer fades to fall and winter's cold and long, but I promise you spring will come at last. Life is like a map.
In the intro there, I might be tempted to pull down that kick was just a little bit loud for me. It kind of takes away from the intimacy of the intro. It also takes away from the vocal being the most important part of the intro. If it has a vocal, I always say the vocal is the most important part of of the song. But, minor things there. Sounds great so far. I would just pull the kick down a little bit in that intro.
You will find your path, but sometimes you'll get lost. Take some photographs, but don't look back. I'll meet you later on, but for now I'm
Really like how you clearly seem to automate that chorus up a little bit to give it a little bit more smack, little impact when it comes in. It's always important. Automation is so huge in the grand scheme of mixing to keep the listener excited, right? Our brains always perceive the loudest thing as the best thing. So in important parts of the mix, you push those forward and our listeners are going to stay very, very happy.
hide your memories away, save them for a rainy day, in a box beneath your bed. When you feel too alone,
I'd maybe push those violin licks up a little bit.
ghosts, think of me instead. But for now I'm gone.
Sounds great. Really good.
Life is like a map. You will find your path. Sometimes you'll get lost. Take some photographs. Don't look back. I'll meet you later on. But for now I'm gone.
I don't know if the rest of you guys caught that. Good job, Brandon, on that. Very cool kind of vocal effect, kind of as it faded out. And then you dried it up. Then you brought the effect back in. Another great way to keep the listener engaged.
Hope you fall in love again. Hope you know I'll understand. Won't you fall in love again?
Hear a little bit of buildup in the low mids, so you might want to go ahead on the mix bus and just pull out a little bit of a dB or two with a nice wide cue to kind of not get a scoops down sound, but just to kind of clear that up a little bit. By removing it, it's actually going to sound bigger there.
A love that never ends. Life is like a map. You will find your path, but sometimes you'll get lost. Take some photographs. Don't look back. I'll meet you later on. But for now I'm gone. I'm gone.
Really like the vocal effects that you went with here. I think it's very tasteful and very appropriate for this, pop tune. All right. Great job, Brandon. It sounded absolutely awesome. Keep up the good work. Really enjoyed that. Okay, here we have, this is Delayed from Kilynn Weber. And I hope I'm saying, if it's Kilynn, I apologize. Kilynn. This is Delayed, parentheses, Zephaniah. Here we go. No dial-up. I remember those days.
your smile, stronger than the words you speak, heavier than the air you breathe. It's a love that could never be.
Okay, on the intro there, I think the acoustics sound really nice. Great job on that. The vocals to me sound a little bit thin. I don't know if you tracked this song or if you got it as a session to mix. This brings up a point that I just want to touch on for any track, is that mix engineers, we can only mix what we get. So the most important thing in the whole process is, first and foremost, is the song. How good is the song that we want to record, our client wants to record, any of that. So that's first and foremost. Second most important thing is the performance of the artist, right? Whether it's them or us. Third most important thing is capturing that, so miking it. Now this might be one of those situations where it just might not have been mic'd well enough. The mic might have been too far away. The actual microphone might have been extremely thin sounding, like a cheaper large diaphragm condenser. I'm not sure, but overall the vocal, like I said, was just a little bit thin. Ways to address that, to improve that in the mix, to kind of fix it. You can obviously try adding some low end, stimulate it somehow. Maybe do a low shelf boost, something like that. Try grabbing a Pultec or something, doing the cut and boost of the same low frequency. That seems to add a lot of lower fullness there. But like I said, the acoustics sounded great on the intro. Let's keep going.
Just glued to the screen. Would you slightly obscene to me? In the palm of her hand, she holds her wind.
I'm kind of left wanting some more low end. It almost sounds like there's a high pass filter on the mix bus and a lot of the low end got really rolled off. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I'm definitely wanting to hear some more lows in the overall mix. The mix sounds just a little thin and kind of leaves me wanting some more lows.
Action, nothing evermore. At the end of the day, I still remain unsure. I still remain.
Guitars are a little bit loud there, almost distracting from the vocal. I might pull those down a little bit. Nice guitar playing, very cool solo.
There comes a day when we all change. Loving never stays the same. Loving never stays the same.
I'd also love to hear more of the bass there, so maybe turn the bass up in the overall track.
To the screen.
Because I hear it under there.
Would you slightly obscene to me? A total reenactment of the day before. Delayed spring into action.
I'd also maybe try and add something to the drums to kind of enhance them. I'm kind of losing some of the drums in the overall landscape of the mix there. You could try certain things like setting your kick and snare to buses and treating them on the buses to get them to sound bigger. You could try things like parallel compressing with the side chain so that you let the low end through, yet you're getting that sustain and that weight from parallel compression. The other thing you could try doing there is maybe adding some samples, not replacing the sounds, but blending them in tastefully with something else just to give it a little bit more weight. I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, when I say try and add some samples, and that is by no means a slight. Everybody's using samples, so to stay competitive now, it's almost like one of those things like we have to use samples because, even if they don't need it, people are throwing samples in to get more weight on the kick, more snap and crack on the snare. Just a thought.
Nothing ever more. Nothing ever more. When's it ever more? Nothing ever more.
Like the vocal effects.
Nothing ever more.
Yeah, so nice job, Kilynn. I thought that was cool. The predominant thing I was left wanting there was some more weight to the overall track. I just thought it sounded a bit thin throughout. Was wanting some more bass. Was struggling to hear the kick. I could hear the snare okay. The vocals were good. I like the vocal effects. I love the guitar solo. The guitar tones are very cool. But I would try working on a little bit of that low end for that. All right, next up, track 4. This is Less Alone from Erik Radbo. Let's check it out. Acoustic sounds nice.
So I'll try to make the clean cuts, not leading you on, but the connection is the strongest. Now the expectations are gone. Bits and pieces, thoughts and feelings in a foamy swirl. I'll always have the inner life of a teenage girl.
Very nice. Piano sounds really nice too. It's a nice balance between the three: piano, guitar, and
Leaving
vocals.
the station, my mind always wanders to you. When riding backwards, it feels like you're leaving, not heading for something new, and I can't.
The one thing that's bothering me there is the level of the snaps. I would turn those down a bit. You kind of want to save some of those things. I know it might be a theme. I'm just guessing right now. It might be a theme throughout the track, but especially in an intimate intro like that, it's important to kind of not give away everything that you've kind of got tucked up your sleeve too early in the mix. But it sounds really good so far.
I kept my feelings in a paper box. I held it all in. It eases the weight, but also evens out the goosebumps on your skin. And you make me hold that tone, even when you're not close to home, and even when you're gone. What if I had the courage? What if I stood on stone? I would make you feel less alone.
Okay, really great job so far. When the drums come in, it's a little underwhelming, I guess. I know it's not the type of song where you want, one of those kind of drum entries. That's not what I'm talking about. But The drums sound a little bit muddy to me. I might go into the drum bus, do a little overall EQ, pull out some of the lows, roll off some of the bottom, maybe with like a little high pass filter to 40 hertz or something like that. I might go ahead and start hunting around for something in the 300 to 500 hertz range, where you're going to get a little bit more clarity. You're going to get rid of some of that muddiness, some of that boxiness. If that doesn't work, you can always work backwards. Okay. I love to do top-down mixing. So you start at your drum bus, and then if, some of those moves don't work, you can always go back and say, all right, well, what am I hearing in the kick drum, or what am I hearing in the snare drum, or the overheads that aren't really doing it for me? Work backwards, go to those buses or those tracks, and then start pulling stuff out and seeing what the culprit is, I guess, causing a little bit of that muddiness. But it does sound good, though.
I've been dancing around your territories, lacking all kinds of grace. I kept stepping on your minds that kept exploding in my face. But there's a word in Swedish for heights and feeling that keeps you in the dirt. We hold on to this, the words keep flowing, even though we both get hurt. And you make me hold that tone, even when you're not close to home, and even when you're gone. What if I had the courage? What if I stood on stone? I would make you feel less.
Erik, I want to commend you on your panning decisions. I think your panning decisions are very smart here. In my cans, and I don't know how this is going to translate to the camera, but, for example, on that chorus, I heard tambourine come in, on my right side. I kind of heard you move the piano over to the left, and it's adding a nice spatial image to kind of fit all the instrumentation. And so I just wanted to say good job on that.
Less alone.
Now you kind of brought it back center because it's, the predominant instrument right now. Great job.
Grass is growing from your skin and you haven't talked in years, even though I couldn't say.
I'd maybe boost your vocal volume a little bit there. It just seems to get a little bit buried in the context of the rest of the instruments.
Close to home, and even when you're gone. What if I had the courage? What if I stood on stone? I would make you feel less alone.
Really good job. Really like the song too. I could tell that was an original for sure. Sounds really good overall. Good job. The only other thing that I would mention there that I was kind of left wanting a little bit is if you just did a little bit of EQing on the mix bus, or a little bit more EQing on the mix bus, scooping out a little bit of the mids, like I said, real wide Q, especially on the mix bus or on buses. I like doing broad strokes, as you know. Wide cut in the mids, low mids, and then maybe put like a nice high shelf on it just to give it a little bit of sparkle. You have a lot of that weight in that track, which is nice. It gives it that intimacy. But what I might do is, go for a 10K shelf and just give it a little bit of shine on top. I think would really take that to the next level. So. Awesome. Great job, Erik. I appreciate the mix. Next up, Wayfaring Stranger from Adam Corrali. I hope I'm saying that right, Adam. I'm sorry. Let's check it out.
Wayfaring stranger, traveling
like the style. It's kind of like surf meets rockabilly or something.
I'm going there to see my father. Say he'll meet me when I go. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home.
Okay, really like the vocal tone. I think your vocals sound very cool. I love the way you're using a little delay and reverb there. The main thing that I'm hearing is the overall mix sounds a bit thin. It just sounds like to me like you almost slapped a high pass filter on the mix bus and just rolled a bunch off to like 100 hertz or something like that. So there's a lot of low end, important low end information and low mids there that I feel like just makes the overall mix sound a little bit anemic. I love the song, I love the instrumentation, but if it was and again, as I said before, I don't know how it was tracked and all that kind of stuff. But if this is a demo, just think about that in the future if you go back to record it. Really want a little bit more weight in this track, a little bit more oomph. I hate saying warmth, but it's, just want it to sound a little bit fatter. It does oddly. I don't know if you have like a high pass filter on the 2 bus or the mix bus on here, but it almost sounds like you're just rolling off a bunch of the low end. Let's keep going. On the kick drum, I can definitely tell that you're using a sample or a software drum instrument of some type, the da 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 on the kick, and it sounds very much it's a clicky kick, like a kick in mic. So what I might recommend is blending in and adding in another sample that gives it some weight. So you have that punch in the attack from the sample that you're currently using, but maybe add in another, like if it's a virtual instrument, you can go ahead and draw in with the pencils tool and whatever DAW you're in, you can draw in another kick at some point on the key roll, and maybe pick a different kick that has that doom, 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 instead of that click, 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 you know what I mean? And then blend the two, you're going to get a much bigger sounding kick.
Where God's redeemed, their vigils keep.
Same applies to the snare too. Like you could get like a snare sound and blend in with the snare that you have right there. That's a little bit more, thwat, 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 just to give it a little bit of that, I think of a deeper snare or a bigger snare drum, like a 7-inch deep snare as opposed to like a 5.5-inch snare. Anyway, it sounds good though. Overall, really digging the style. I like the kind of the, the swagger of this song. Kick's too loud here. I would bring the kick level down right there. Just be mindful of the crash cymbals and the level. They're just a little bit overbearing on my left side here. Really like your vocal tone. Love the vibraphone. The vibraphone is a really cool touch. Love that outro. Very cool. Very fun. Very creative song. One more suggestion on that might be as it builds towards the end and it builds towards the outro, really slowly ride up your master fader on that, or whatever you do to control your overall volume. I know we all automate at different points, different faders. But bring. I just kind of wanted to hear the overall mix just kind of come up a little bit there, because it, kind of almost a crescendo at the end where you just wham. We're kind of building to that point, which is kind of the crescendo, like I said. So very cool, very good job. Trying to add a little bit more low end in if you can. I don't know if there's a possibility to go back and retrack it. But if it's a mixing thing, obviously look for some of those things. And if you are high passing on the 2-bus, go ahead and you can roll that way back, because if you are, it might be taking off some of the lows. So, but good job. Really, really well done, Adam. All of you guys are absolutely killing it. Really, really impressing me for sure. Next up, we have Eddie Texas. Eddie. The song is Low Down. Let's check out Low Down. Cool guitar tones. Mean sounding bass. Woo!
Is there something wrong deep between the lines? It's getting hard to swallow. Lost all self-control. These things you just can't hide. Better off alone, but I need you. Every line you swallow, one last shot to break me down. They tried to break me down. Have they tried to break you down?
Really good sounding mix, Eddie. Love it. Reminds me of a little STP, circa core.
All the things you say as your world burned down. Better off alone, but I need you. I'm falling here from grace.
I love how you're automating the overall volume up there towards the hooks. When it comes in, it just bam, it's hitting me in the face, and I love that. Good job.
So let it go. Every line you swallow, one last shot to break me down. They tried to break me down. Have they tried to break you down? The times I try to pull you close, you always tear me down.
Bass sounds so good. Really good job. Sounds mean.
I'm falling here from grace, far from everything I've known. Will they understand me?
Eddie, really good job, man. Not much I can pick apart about that. I mean, that's a really, really, really well done mix. Can definitely tell that you have been at this a while. All your levels were really good. I could hear your automation moving around. Volume changes. It kept me very interested while I was listening. The tone of your drums, bass, guitar, everything was just so cool. It really reminded me of like an STP track from off a core back in the day, mixed with a little something else. But yeah, that was just a really well done. That's a good example of sometimes when you get good tracks or well recorded tracks. I know you said that was the set of multi-tracks from the Boz Digital Labs mix contest, and yeah, that's it always becomes an issue more of mixing over fixing, but nonetheless you still have to do it. So hats off. That was a really, really good mix. Really great job. Okay, last up we have Follow Me from Michael Derrick, and I should say last but not least. And again, listen, I know, I just want to say thanks, because I know it's a scary thing to kind of, put a mix out there, and it's a vulnerable type thing, but it's only gonna make you better and everyone else listening better. I do the same thing. I have a couple good buddies who I trust that I'll send stuff out to. And it's all constructive criticism. It's never anything, slightful or negative. These are just all ways to, hey, try this, because, I want you guys to be the best musicians, the best audio engineers, the best mix engineers that you possibly can be. So, and after this, if you guys have any questions or anything particular about what I've said, or you don't understand, shoot me an email. I'll try and make it a little bit more clear for you. But I just wanted to put that out there, and I wanted to say, good job on, just saying, all right, I'm going to throw this out and get better. I know it's a scary thing, so good job, guys. Okay, Follow Me, Michael Derrick. Very cool delay.
Dreaming clouds at your fingertips fade away into yesterday. Faces, reflections of the heart turn to stone when your love is.
I'm hearing a little bit of sibilance on the vocals, so maybe just pay attention to that. If you're not using a de-esser, maybe try doing a little bit of de-essing. I will either do it first in the chain or last in the chain. If you're compressing quite a bit, I will typically do it last, because the compressors are going to stimulate and excite those sibilant frequencies, so I'll typically put it last, but just a thought.
Love is gone. Follow me.
I might bring that main guitar down that's doing the dotted eighth note thing a little bit, and I might also cut, high pass some of the lows and maybe get rid of a little bit of 250, 300.
Follow me.
Okay, one thing I can tell too is that the acoustics that you have going on, I don't know if you stereo mic'd or if you mono mic'd and then duplicated and pan left and right, but I can tell that you're plugging into your acoustic electric pickup there, and that's just something that I think is a very noticeable thing when listening to music for a lot of musicians. Is you can tell if it's a pickup or you're actually miking the acoustic. And I like to mic acoustics because A, it sounds great, and it sounds like an acoustic. B, mono mic. Don't worry about stereo miking and acoustic in a band track, because you're not really gonna hear it or have that big wide thing going on, because there's so many other instruments that are taking up that space. So, you can even use a 57. Any microphone, large diaphragm condenser, whatever you're singing into, I would say throw that on your guitar. Try not to use the pickup if you can, just because it almost cheapens it a little bit. I think you can really enhance the the overall quality of this track by if they were mic'd, and then EQ. You can EQ them bright, but you can just kind of hear that piezo pickup in there. Nonetheless, though, I really dig the instrumentation. I like the delay stuff. The vibe so far, very cool.
Brother, don't you mind the tears? All of those wasted years have gone away.
I would do the same thing with the vocal. I would take away some of the mud, a little bit of the low mids, and maybe give a little bit more presence. 1K, 1.5K, 2K, 3K, maybe even 5K. That's gonna push the vocal forward a little bit more. Nice.
Follow me. Oh, follow me. When the starlight turns to day, follow me.
Okay, so when that pad just came in, I thought, kind of feeling one thing is that you're using a bunch of different guitar tracks kind of stacked and built up. And then when you bring in a synth pad like that, all of those guitars and the synth pads are taking up the same, almost the same frequency range. So what you're going to want to do to kind of give each its own space or its own voice is, of course, panning, LCR panning, put one hard right, one hard left, one up the middle. But you're going to want to, do some drastic EQing to kind of get each one to sit okay. Remember, it doesn't matter what it sounds like in solo in that situation. You might be able to take a big chunk of something out, in the upper mids or in the mid range, boost the high end, and it might not sound thin in the context of the mix. Whereas if you solo it, it might. So, I would just try and work with each guitar a little bit and make it find its place in the stereo field, but also EQ wise in the frequency spectrum.
Follow me. Oh, follow me. When scarlet turns to white, follow me.
Like that piano lick there, very cool. can just hear that the guitar that you have playing that lead lick there, it's flat. So just make sure you're tuning, getting all that stuff in tune. It's super important. I know it might sound not, but when I'm tracking guitars or bass, I usually, fresh pack of strings, make sure the setup's good, always make sure everything's in tune. It's not a huge deal. One trick that you can do, like if you can't go back and re-record a guitar that's out of tune, one trick that you can do is almost accentuate that being out of tune by doing something like pitching, putting like a doubler on it, or like an H3000, a Roland Dimension D, a Soundtoys Micro Shift, and kind of pitch each side off a little bit, so it almost starts doing that chorusing, warbling thing, basically harmonizing, not like a vocal harmony, but it's an effect from Eventide, that everybody I'm sure is familiar with from lots and lots of their favorite records from the 80s. So anyway, it's just something that I know that you can do to kind of get away with that if it's impossible to go back and, not track that guitar part over again or something like that. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud as I'm going, like I said, so let's keep going. All right, very cool little outro there. Yeah, just I would just make sure that you always want to make sure things are in tune in your tracks. Even the slightest couple of cents off can kind of throw the overall vibe, especially since it's such a time-based song. Everything's revolving around that dotted eighth. It can kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It can basically just throw it off. It was just something that I just noticed, and but hey, that's an easy fix, right? If this is your track, you can go back, re-record the guitar, or you can try doing the doubling, the pitching effect. That's always a good thing to do. So, all right, guys. So that's 7 tracks. I think we've been going for about an hour. And again, I just want to say thanks so much for for submitting these tracks. And, I know it's a scary thing to do. When I started, I used to send out my stuff to, other people and kind of freak out about it way back in the day. But it's how we get better. I want to make this a really safe place. This isn't a place about judgment. This isn't a place about, who's better than who. And listen, I just want everyone to learn from each other. I want everybody to get as good as they can get. That's why I do this, is to help you. If there's anything, like I said, questions you have in terms of what I've said, shoot me an email, let me know, and I will do my best to make it more clear if I haven't. These are all the first time that I listened to these, and I wanted to do that on purpose, like I said, to just give the most raw, honest reaction to everything that I could. And a big thanks to Loz, Brandon, Kilynn, Erik, Adam, Eddie, and Michael. Thank you guys so much for submitting. This has been the first Mix Critique Monday here at Mix Better Now. And hopefully we'll get to one next week. If not, it'll be the week after. I will let you guys all know. Make sure you're on the email list to keep you in the swing, to keep you in the loop with all kinds of news and information like that. So, all right. My name is Pete with MixBetterNow.com. This has been the first Mix Critique Monday, September the 16th, 2016. Appreciate you guys submitting. Anybody out there watching this, definitely feel free to shoot me your mixes. Just send me your name. Preferably in a WAV file or in an MP3, just something that I can download, but your name and then the name of the track and then any other specific information that's pertinent to those tracks or not. And, we'll get to it at some point. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope you guys learned something here. I will catch you all next time and I hope you have a great day.